All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I know that this is a little different than we've normally done with all of the technology and the whole pandemic, but this is better than nothing. I will let you know that we're using a new piece of equipment. So when you look at the screen, you'll see a panoramic view of the whole table. And then when somebody speaks, hopefully they'll pop up. Again, please keep yourself muted throughout the whole event, please, and utilize the chat feature to ask questions.
Excuse me, I'm having trouble getting on. This is Lynn. I'm having trouble getting on. I have it on my phone, but I can't seem to get it on my computer. Could you send me Nicole sent me a link. I don't think it's the right link. Could somebody send me a better link, please?
I can give you the meeting ID and the passcode. Are you ready?
One second. All right, go ahead.
It's 825-7676.
Well, I'm sorry. Say it again. 825 what?
825-7605-8417.
Okay.
And the passcode is 970366.
Okay, I'll try that.
But we're seeing and hearing you just fine. You're just not seeing us, huh?
No, it keeps telling me I'm unable to join this meeting. I don't know why. I don't know why that's happening. I went back to your email all the way back from February 23rd.
Apologize. Okay, as I said, we are going to get started. Again, thank you for being on time. We really appreciate our speakers today, and I will quickly go around the table and introduce them. So on my left, starting on my left, we have Sergeant Benjamins. Mm-hmm. And seated next to her is Captain Code. Is Lieutenant Holmes. And then finally, we have on my right, Crime Prevention Specialist Heidi. So again, I'm going to probably say this several times throughout the course. Please keep yourself muted at all times and use the chat feature to ask specific questions. And with that, I will turn it over to these fine folks. Who's going to start?
I'll just get started real quick. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate you inviting us here tonight. I know last year, unfortunately, we weren't able to coordinate the meeting in time with the beginning of the pandemic. So it's been a while since we've had one of these. So again, my name is Jeff Code. I'm the captain here at Northwest Area Command. So I've been here since about September of 2019, so almost about a year and a half. Glad to be here. Our crime prevention specialist, Heidi, I'm going to save a lot of this for her. She's going to go over the crime stats and some information specific to the Desert Shores community. But I am happy to report last year, our overall violent crime rate within the Northwest Area Command, we were down over 10% in violence. So that's, you know, in no, or in large part due to the citizens of the Northwest area, in addition to the hard work of the officers here at the Northwest Area Command. So that partnership with the community was really beneficial, and you know, and that's one of the main things, that tools that we have in driving our crime down throughout the valley, but specifically here for us in the Northwest area. So again, thank you. So I'll keep it short because I know you guys have a lot of questions, and we'll get to those at the end. So, and I'll turn it over to, this is Lieutenant Chris Holmes. He's my admin lieutenant. He's in charge of our detectives, which Sergeant Benjamin's is part of, and a few other aspects of the Northwest Area Command. So he's kind of my number two, and if people can't get a hold of me, then Chris is in charge. So I'll turn it over to him.
Well, thank you for letting us be a part of this. I'm very new to the Northwest Area Command. I'm happy to be here, happy to be at this meeting, and look forward to working with each and every one of you. And continuing, like I said, to work with you to solve our crime, so we have a beautiful place to live and enjoy our community. So thank you very much. Heidi or Jen?
I'm Sergeant Benjamins. I'm the community policing sergeant. I think I was here maybe a year ago almost. We were here and introduced ourselves then. So if anything comes up, I'll be here for the long haul, as well as Heidi, to answer any questions that you guys have.
And I'm Heidi Strafe. I'm the crime prevention specialist at Northwest. I've been up there about a year now, been on the department about almost 5 years. So I'm just going to go over some crime stats for the last 3 years and then year to date, current February with you. Give you our neighborhood watch program, our Safe Cam program. We'll go over that later on in the PowerPoint.
The couple's hostile relationship with the tabloid media is well known. We
Gotta find out.
this monster machine around us. But the Duchess complained she was.
Oh, please continue.
Carrie, if you want to start the PowerPoint, go
Yep.
ahead. All right, so as of January of 2020, I believe, was it not, that we changed our boundaries for Northwest Area Command. We cover about 80 square miles right now. Captain, if you want to talk a little more about our boundaries and what's going on.
So as most everyone knows, in January last year, we opened up Summerlin Area Command. And so the area, or part of the area that is now Summerlin Area Command, used to be within the Northwest area. So with that realignment of the boundaries for all of our area commands across the valley, our Northwest area is, generally speaking, everything north of Cheyenne, and then we come southbound here, and then up to Lake Mead, and then east over to Rancho, Decatur area, north. So we border North Las Vegas to the east of us, and we have pretty much everything north of here all the way to include Mount Charleston. We have resident officers that work up on Mount Charleston and handle the day-to-day activities up there. So.
Next slide, please. So as you may or may not know, Desert Shores is a master planned community with over 3,300 units. There's 22 different types of residential districts, including condos, about 680 acres. It is, for the most part, a private community. Obviously, there is some public space here, including shops and restaurants. Next slide. So I'm going to go over the violent crime for the last 3 years and year to date. And the good news is it's down. I do see, obviously you have one homicide, 2018, 19, and 20. So far, knock on wood, none this year. Sexual assaults have been steadily declining over the last few years, which is also a good thing. Robberies, you're kind of steady there. Not a lot going on in the robbery department either, which is good. Assault and batteries. That does include the domestic violence aspect of it, is what I added to that. What we see a lot of is family disturbance calls. Those can tend to escalate and become more violent or turn into, or as a result of domestic violence. So those have remained somewhat steady. So far, you're only at 4 this year, which is a good start. Hopefully we can keep that down. Next slide. Property crimes. So we've definitely seen a decrease in burglaries for 2020, whether that's because of COVID and people staying home. I don't know if it is. Good job on that. If it's because of my neighborhood watch groups, awesome job on that. Auto burglaries are kind of steady at the same. Auto thefts are going down. Larcenies have increased, which includes larceny from a person. Also, I did include some incidents from the Desert Villas over off of Soaring Gulls, the condos over there. They are kind of a hot spot for some of our crime that goes on. But as far as the auto burglaries and auto thefts go, the best thing you guys can do is lock your car doors. Every night, there's people that just walk through communities, residential communities or apartments, and all they do is check door handles on cars. Sometimes they get really lucky and they find a car door that's unlocked. That gives them easy access. So always remember, if you can't park a car in your garage, please lock it up. Take all your personal items out of there, purses, bags, backpacks, any electronic devices, things like that. Put them away, keep them out of sight, hide them in your trunk if you can, but don't ever leave anything in plain sight, anything that could entice somebody to want to break into your car. Yes. So we have something called a crime triangle. So there's three things you need, there's three elements for a crime to occur. The desire to commit that crime, the ability to commit it, and the opportunity. Next slide. Which of these do you think we can actually control, or can you control? Next slide.
Opportunity.
So yes, he's correct. You could control the opportunity. What do I mean by that? Again, parking your car outside, leaving your car doors unlocked, right? You're giving somebody an opportunity. What about now that the weather's getting nicer, right? You're gonna leave your windows open or unlocked to get some fresh air in. So even if you go away for a few minutes to the grocery store, you go run some errands, whatever you're gonna go do, go for a walk, try to keep those windows closed to the best of your abilities and the doors locked at all times. Also, if you do get a knock on your door, whether it's a solicitor, whoever it may be, always acknowledge that knock on your door. Okay, don't ignore it. Acknowledge it, speak to somebody through your door, okay? Find out who it is, what they want. Always verify who's on the other side of your door before you open it. Next. All right, so vehicle burglaries. We went over this a little bit. I'll go over some of these. Do always park in a busy, well-lit, well-traveled areas when you're out and about. Lock your vehicle's windows and doors, even if you think you're just going to be gone for a minute. What we're seeing now is a lot of people, they'll leave their cars running while they run into the grocery store, or they run into a convenience store, maybe into 7-Eleven, and they just want to grab a drink real quick. They leave their cars unlocked and running. So please don't do that. If you have an alarm or an anti-theft device, please use it. And please don't ever leave a firearm or other weapons in your car. You may think you've hid it really well. Trust me, you haven't. Don't leave valuables in plain sight. Dark tinted windows, they're not going to help you hide your valuables. A lot of these guys are going to have flashlights and they're going to be able to peer into your windows. Don't use hide keys. Don't leave any sign that you're hiding stuff. If you got a cable plugged into a USB port, you know, that might hold a GPS device or your cell phone. So don't leave things like that, docking stations, connector cables in plain sight. So we have something called the Vegas Safe Cam program. Some of you may have not heard of this. Some of you may. If anybody has cameras in their homes, whether it's a Ring doorbell, a Nest camera, whatever you might have, you can actually sign up for this program for free on our website at lvmpd.com. It's really easy to do. It doesn't allow our guys access to your cameras, so don't worry about privacy issues there. It basically just helps our officers know who has cameras in the neighborhood. If there's a crime that happens, we may come and knock on your door and say, hey, can we check your video surveillance? Is all that is. Go ahead. So if you're reporting a crime, we ask that you try to be a good witness. Try to remain calm, speak clearly. Okay, answer the dispatcher's questions. They're well trained and they have a specific set of questions they're gonna ask you. So try to be patient with them. Be prepared to describe the event as briefly as possible. What happened, when, how, who. If there was a vehicle involved, try to get a description of the vehicle to the best of your ability. Even if it's just a color, if it was a 2-door or 4-door, if you got a license plate, great. If it's a description of some, try to get a description of it. Is it a male, a female, approximate height or weight? What are they wearing? Ethnicity. So just try to be as precise and be a good witness.
I have a question.
Sure.
Could you please repeat the camera site you just mentioned?
Oh, sure, Vegas Safe Cam. So if you go to LVMPD.com, and it's the Vegas Safe Cam program. There's a search engine on our website. If you type in Vegas Safe Cam or just Safe Cam, it should pop up. So LVMPD.com, there's something called crime mapping. So you can actually see what's going on in your neighborhood, whether it's at work or at home. Be careful though, when you do put in your address and you do a boundary of this, I wouldn't go more than maybe a half a mile. Otherwise you're gonna see a ton of probably little dots popping up everywhere, and that might scare you a bit. But you can see what's going on crime mapping. You can go back several weeks, you can go a month, 2 months, and you can actually see the types of crimes that are going on in your area. It will not give you a specific address. It'll give you like a 100 block. So approximate area of where it occurred. Go ahead. So Neighborhood Watch. So right now we have about 26 block captains here in Desert Shores, and they're awesome. They check in with me. I send them emails, whether it's a crime alert notice, whether it's an email about our first Tuesday meetings, whether it's an event we have going on. So if anybody would like to participate in Neighborhood Watch or wants to be a block captain, please contact me. My contact information is either on the PowerPoint here. I'll give you my number in the office. It's 702-828-4305. Just give me a call and we'll get you started on a Neighborhood Watch group.
Looks like we need some more on the east side.
Yes.
We're a little light on the east side
Just
there.
a few. All right, I get a lot of questions. How do I know when to call 311 or 911? So for 311, and just be aware, this is now, it starts off as an automated system, so you're gonna have to push a couple buttons before you get to speak to a dispatcher, but trust me, it's pretty quick once you get through. No current threat to a person or property. There's no crime in progress. It's not serious, or it happens sometime earlier. If you've got a loud party, loud music, barking dogs, or minor fender benders where there's no injuries, you can call 311. 911 is for emergencies. When you need police, fire, medical emergency, there's a current threat to a property, to person, it's a crime in progress, someone is injured, or you see smoke, there's fire or serious illness. So we have several social media pages you can follow us or like us on. We have our Facebook page, we have a Twitter, Instagram, and also Nextdoor. Any questions for any of us?
Start firing away the questions on the chat feature. And just so you know, this is being recorded. So if you or someone else in your family was not able to attend, if a neighbor or something, they can contact the office and we will do our best to get this to them. So I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to deliver it. It's going to be a big file, so it may have to be uploaded into Dropbox or something along those lines. So, but please, if you're not familiar with how to use the chat, if you look at the menu bar generally at the bottom, if the chat is not there, just look under the More button and click that and you'll see the chat at the top. The first question came via email. We were asking people to submit some questions in advance. So there's several questions here, so instead of reading them all, I'll stop after each one. Is there a door lock that cannot be kicked in by the average person?
I don't think there's any, no, that'd be the short answer, no, but there are some things that you can do to make it more difficult. You know, if you use the longer 3-inch screws into your door jamb, if you use a more heavy duty door lock, you know, sometimes people go really cheap and, you know, those things can easily be pushed in. So other than that, there's no there's no specific lock. If you're lucky enough, or go through the time and put maybe a steel frame door, but most people don't have that in a residential
Or the
in a residential
metal
setting.
security doors.
But
Storm
metal,
doors.
the metal security doors would be another option. But unfortunately, there's no lock that these criminals if they would devote as much time to doing something productive as to finding ways to break into people's homes, they'd be really successful. So.
Are thieves more likely to enter a front or back access door or window?
So generally, like Heidi talked earlier about, when people knock on the door and there's no response, generally what they'll do is they'll then move to the rear because it's out of sight. People can't see what they're doing, and then they'll make entry via a slider, something like that, or break a slider, or break a window, or an unlocked window or a secured door. That way they can do their nefarious activity without drawing any attention to them via the front. So generally speaking, that's kind of how they do that. Because one of my biggest pet peeves also is garage doors. Two things. One, when you leave, watch your door shut. Watch it go all the way down, and then leave visual sight of it. What people will do is they'll hide around the corner. Once you start to shut the door, they simply just trip the laser to make the door go back up. They walk inside, close the garage door, and then they're doing what they need to do. Also, I'm guilty of this myself. Lock that garage door to enter your house. So from your garage to your residence, lock that. That's it's one less step. It makes your house harder. And criminals are lazy, so they're going to go the laziest way they can do it. But those are little 2 tricks I do for the most part, minus the locking of my garage door, which I need to be better at that. So,
A couple other things with that. Don't leave your keys in the car, even if it's inside your garage. That's another common MO, how people get their car stolen. Somebody will break into their garage and they'll, of course, go into the car, and they see somebody's car keys. They leave them right there, in the center console or whatever. And it's just very inviting to get your car stolen, just to compound the issue that you have with somebody breaking into your house. And then also, Heidi reiterated it, we have a huge problem, especially in the Northwest, with people leaving firearms in their vehicles. So I remember last year we had an incident where I think it was 23 firearms were taken out of one vehicle because somebody decided to leave their collection overnight. And then, of course, the car gets broken into, and so now there's 20 plus additional firearms out on the street that didn't need to be there. So please do not leave it in your car. If you're going to go someplace that you're not going to be in a position to take your firearm with you, please leave it at home or find some other way to secure it other than leaving it in your vehicle. We have so many. Generally, we have about 30 to 40% of all of our stolen firearms out of the Northwest come from people's vehicles. So if people would just stop doing that, we could literally overnight reduce our stolen firearms by about 30 to 40%. So,
And also, please don't leave your garage door opener in your car if you can't park your car in your garage. I hear it all the time. People leave their garage door openers in their cars and they're parked in the driveways or on the street. So you break into your car and now they have your garage door opener. Now they can open your garage. And if you don't lock the door, like Lieutenant Holmes said, from your garage to your house, now they're going to gain entrance to your house. So please don't leave those garage doors open.
Do dowels in the windows help?
I have them in my house. Every window has a little lock that can't let the door or can't let the window open. So they're even in the littlest, smallest window in my bathroom that maybe is like maybe 6, 8 inches. I have one in there in every single. I think those are very useful and they're very inexpensive way to secure your windows.
Yep. Lots of products are out there for securing doors and windows. So do your research.
Home Depot has a whole section, Lowe's has a whole section of home safety, and it's very inexpensive to do that.
So kind of a theme to it. There's no one device like we talked about the door lock or anything, but what we like to talk about is barriers. The more barriers that you can put in place, the more obstacles that you can put in front of a criminal that wants to gain access to your property or inside your property or steal your property, the better. So a lot of times they're crimes of opportunity. Like Heidi said, they'll be walking by and they're just walking by, flicking door handles as quick as they can, and every so often one will be unlocked and there's your victim. So we all know that, of course, if somebody wants to get in, they're going to find a way to get in. They'll break your lock, they'll break your window, whatever. But I would say probably the majority of the time, they're more crimes of opportunity. Like I said, it's cars that have been left either unlocked, or we have a problem now with, we have a lot of the food delivery drivers and stuff. They'll go inside to make their delivery, but they leave their car in the street running, and somebody will walk up, jump in the car and take off. So, anything that you're trying to do to reduce your chance of being the victim of a crime, the more, like I said, the more barriers or obstacles you can put between yourself and a criminal, the safer you're going to be.
I think another thing that people overlook is dog doors, because I can tell you that if you have a big dog, most people between the age of 8 and above can go through that dog door. So if you have a big dog door and you leave the house and you're going to leave him secured or whatever you're going to do with your dog, you should always close that dog door, or have some kind of other procedure to make sure that, because that is, I've tried to break into my own house, and that's the one way into my house is this big old dog door that I can fit through. So secure your dog doors too.
This is someone else speaking, not me. I have had 2 home invasions within 11 months. What can I do for more safety?
Have them contact me, and I can come to your house and do a home safety inspection. It's free of charge. I'll take a look at your locks for your doors and windows. I'll look at your landscaping. I'll look at your lighting, and can give you recommendations on what you can better do to target harden your home. And
it goes back to creating a neighborhood watch. And, we all have heard the phrase, see something, say something. If you see suspicious people in your neighborhood, make sure you report that, even if it's to the non-emergency number. If you're having ongoing issues, you can report that to our COP office, and they do. That's one of their many things that they do for the Northwest, but they'll follow up on that. And so,
how long does it take to schedule a home invasion? What did you call it?
Oh, a home safety check?
Yes, thank you. How long
You
to schedule?
Probably do it a week in advance.
Oh, a week in advance,
Yeah.
okay.
Absolutely. Only takes about 30 to 45 minutes to conduct that home safety check.
There have been a number of solicitors in the area asking for donations. Can the no solicitation HOA policy be enforced? That's probably directed more at me a little bit. As I understand the law, please jump in. As I understand the law, because we have it posted on all of our entrances, then it can be enforced. And there's certain solicitations that are allowed regardless. So I believe churches, political, there could be another third one in there that I'm not thinking of, but there are certain organizations that are allowed. So they're not restricted with any type of no solicitation law. Just as a general way of getting in touch with our patrol. So we do not provide security for the community. We do have what we call courtesy patrol, and you've probably seen their truck and the annoying yellow flashing lights, but their basic function is to observe and report. They will not put themselves in any harm's way. Stopping a solicitor, absolutely. So if you come across a solicitor, we ask you to do 2 things. Number 1, contact the company and get onto the company for allowing their solicitors to come into our neighborhood. Number 2, contact our patrol. How do you do that? You can contact the office number, our number, anytime. And when you get the answering service, if it's after office hours, you can always ask to be put through to the officer on duty. They'll ask you some questions. They need to do their job first, so let them do their job and answer all of their questions, and then they will patch you through to the officer on duty, and he is more than happy to swing by your neighborhood, try to find the solicitor, and let them know that they're not allowed to be in the neighborhood, and ask them to leave. And that happens. We probably weekly, we are asking someone to leave the neighborhood, and they do. Okay, so hopefully I've answered that. Do you have anything to add?
Do you allow no soliciting, like little stickers or signs on front doors?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
They
yeah.
do work. I have them on my front door, and actually somebody said if you had a no soliciting sign on your door prior to me putting it up, I wouldn't have knocked. So
Okay.
it does help. Some people ignore it, but there are those that respect it.
There would be no restrictions that I'm aware of that would prevent you from putting a small no solicitation sign on your door.
The only thing I would say is that if you really suspect that this person is legitimately not a solicitor, then I would call in a suspicious person in your neighborhood, because a lot of people, we know, we see it on Nextdoor app, and we see it on the news that somebody was posing as NV Energy, or they were posing as something else. So if it is suspicious and you think they're not on the up and up, then you can always call it in as a suspicious person.
Good. Excellent. Let's see. Great news to see all crimes are down. However, the Mariner Street Police activity last week was startling. Can you give a report? There was a shootout, is what the officer said to me at the blockade on Valiant. It was a few days ago.
Well, it's still under investigation, so I can't go into too much detail, but just in general, there was basically a road rage type incident is how it began. And one of the persons involved started shooting at the person that he struck, and then that person also was in possession of a firearm and returned fire. So ultimately it was, as you obviously know, we will track the suspect vehicle to a residence here in the community. The case is still under investigation. We have not made an arrest in that, but we've identified several people, and we're doing some additional follow-up on it. I know it's a really vague answer, but like I said, because it's still under investigation, I can't really give too much, but we're making progress. I'll just leave it at that. So
Good. Progress is always good.
yes, we're making good progress. So
Okay, what is the percentage of patrol per capita now that your area has been increased? And do you know if it is above or below the national average?
percent of patrol, well, I mean, as a department, we're still right at about that 2 officers per 1,000. In terms of geography, I don't have that broken down, number of officers per square mile, so to speak. Nationally, we tend to, like I said, try to be as close to that 2 officers per 1,000. And again, as an agency, we are. So when we did the realignment, our area command did shrink quite a bit. We lost about 10 or 15 square miles at that time. So along with that, there was a corresponding reduction in officers assigned to Northwest. But again, it's also important to remember that, we all cover the entire valley. So, our officers across the street at Summerlin Area Command, if something's going on here, they're going to handle it just like an officer at Northwest. So, and then also along with that, if you're the victim of a crime, you're able to report that crime at any of the area commands or at our headquarters. You don't have to specifically come to Northwest area. So if you live in Summerlin and you happen to be up here and are the victim of a crime, you can report it in Summerlin or vice versa. So.
Okay. There is a perception from many in Desert Shores residents that crime is on the increase in Desert Shores. From your stats, that's not the case. Why do people feel this way? Also, there seems to be increased traffic traveling at higher than posted speed limits through Desert Shores. Is there any way to increase traffic enforcement in our area?
Yeah, now that we have that, we'll make sure that we pass that along to our traffic division. So we get reports of people speeding and, traffic related issues all across the valley. So what we do is we have a dedicated bureau, traffic bureau, all the guys on motorcycles. So we'll make sure we pass that along to them and see if they can do any increased enforcement up here in Desert Shores. And probably the perception issue probably has to do more with social media. So especially if you follow Facebook and Nextdoor and all that, a lot of times, and believe me, there's a lot more people will post a lot more crime and suspicious activity on those sites but they won't report it to us. So there's a lot of unreported events and things happening that we're not aware of. So I know I'm on Nextdoor myself, and in my neighborhood, 10, 20 times a day, somebody's posting something about a suspicious person in the neighborhood or whatever, and that never gets reported to the police. So I think just there's an increased awareness by everybody because of the social media presence that we have and that the residents have, through those apps and communicating with each other. But like you said, and, the good news is the numbers are trending down. So I guess that's the good.
Would you share what you said earlier about speeders?
Oh, yes. I happen to have worked in traffic for about 8 years. And what common thing I would see as a motor officer was a lot of the violators are actually residents in and around these various communities and neighborhoods. Obviously you're here, you guys travel the roads, and we generally find, and I've found that our biggest violators would be people who live inside the community. So, you just have to police yourselves and make sure you're policing your neighbor as well. I will reach out to traffic, of course, with that, see if we can get some extra patrols in here to conduct some traffic speeding enforcement.
Will Desert Shores HOA allow block wall to be raised up for jump over prevention? My back wall is only about 4.5 feet high on a corner lot. My 2 invasions happen from the backyard. I am on a corner location. Thank you. I guess I probably need to respond. What we've seen is that the height of the walls were what was originally designed for the footings that were installed. So what I mainly see when one side is low, you have to look at the grade. At least it's very obvious in Desert Shores where the grade decreases going east, okay? And so you may have a property that has a higher grade than the outside of your property, let's say, but the footings are still what were required for a 6-foot fence, but you may not be enjoying a 6-foot fence because some of it's under the dirt. So are you allowed to raise it? I would say that before you ever approach that question with the HOA is that you get an engineer and you find out that the wall can sustain additional bricks on the top. It may be that you need to redo the whole wall, take the wall out and redo the footings, and obviously that becomes a much bigger issue. So I understand, but do some research before you bring it forward to the board or the CRC to see if you can raise the height at all.
There is something else you can do also, which might be a little more cost effective than the wall, is planting what I like to refer to as hostile vegetation on that side of the wall. Things with thorns, needles that somebody would not want to jump into when they hop your wall. Desert landscape doesn't require a lot of water, but it's very effective.
Good one. Let's see. Current law, if someone is breaking into your home, can you protect your home with a firearm?
No question. So, you know, there's no real hard and fast rule in that, right? Ultimately, what it's going to boil down to is, were you in a reasonable fear for your safety or for your life, or the life of somebody else? And that's really what it's going to boil down to. So, you know, it goes, you know, we always talk about the scenario. You know, there's a difference between somebody coming at you and they're armed with a weapon versus the guy that's already acquired your TV and he's on his way out the door, right? I mean, two different, and a lot of times in those situations are real dynamic and they change instantaneously, right? A guy can go from being in your house to out the front door, the window, or wherever he came from in a split second. So you certainly do absolutely have a right to defend yourself in your own home and anywhere for that matter. You're not, the law doesn't require you to be a victim, but you know, if you're going to use deadly force, it's just important to remember that, you know, are you able to articulate, or were you defending yourself from immediate you know, bodily harm or death or injury or somebody else? So you know, just keep that in mind. So I would, if you're a firearm owner, and I would recommend this for everybody, you know, please take advantage of all of the training courses that are available. There are a lot of highly qualified businesses and individuals throughout the valley that are that can really provide an in-depth lesson in firearm safety and firearm handling and shooting and tactics, and get you up to speed on all the laws, and you know, again, ways to not be a victim and ways to defend yourself without using the firearm. So you know, and also on top of that, you know, make sure that your firearm is secured properly within your house as well. So kind of back to what I was talking about earlier in the car, a lot of times we get a lot of firearms stolen from inside residences, because when people leave, they go on vacation or whatever, they leave all of their firearms unattended throughout the house. It's easy to do, you know, especially if you live by yourself, but it's really critical, you know, if you're not going to be home, or especially if you have children in the house or others, you know, make sure you're properly storing your firearms. But you know, there's that balance. You also want to have access to it if you need it as well. So
what is your feeling about lights on inside at night? How many and how long should they stay on? I think I overdo it with lights on.
I don't think there's really a hard and fast rule, you know, that something like that's going to be personal preference. You know, if you can sleep with the lights on, then, you know, more lights the better, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, again, it kind of goes back to barriers, right? If somebody's going to try to break in your house, especially at night, they want it to be as dark and isolated or desolate as possible. So if your light's on, it at least gives the impression that somebody might be home. So, or if they do manage to make it into your house, then, you know, they're going to be well lit up. If your neighbors know you always leave the light on, and then the light all of a sudden goes off, that may signal to your neighbor something's wrong as well. So, you know, again, I'll just leave that up to personal preference, and you know, but I would say in general, yeah, lighting is probably one of those barriers, or one of those tools that can help prevent you from being a victim of a crime.
I think too, because I've worked this area for almost 6 years, and Desert Shores is quite dark, a dark of area. So you can walk down the street and barely see that someone's coming. So one of the main things, going back to that light, is having your lights maybe on a timer where it's on when dusk happens, and then dawn, dusk to dawn. So, and then they turn off then, because a lot of times it's so dark, and we go up to front doors as even police officers, and we can't see anything because the porch light's never lit. Also having cameras that pick up motion on the side yards and the backyards, that's a big deterrent, because that scares the crap out of some people and they'll run away. So light is not only the police friend, but it's also the bad guy's enemy. So lights are very good.
Yeah, talking about lights a little bit. I mean, there's always a balance that we struggle with here in Desert Shores, because there wasn't a lot of lights put in because they wanted the night sky. You know, at one point, how far out of town was Desert Shores? So there's always a balance. But I'm also finding more and more people are entering into disputes with their neighbors by shining lights, putting on that high wattage type of light shining in somebody's bedroom on purpose. And so we don't want to use the light in that fashion, because it's just going to be contradictory, or it's not going to help us. It's not going
We
to
use
help.
motion sensor lights, so it only stays on for
Yeah.
15 or 30 seconds.
That would be good.
Something
yeah.
like that, yes.
We actually have neighbors that are disputing and using light as the form of dispute. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
The free home safety check can be arranged with
Me.
Okay, with Heidi, and her information has stayed on the screen the whole time there. So you've got her phone number and email address. Okay. Regarding solicitations, I always say, we do not allow soliciting. Please exit our community immediately. Would you like an escort out? Okay.
Nice.
Good one, good one. And we will be happy to escort them. The courtesy patrol will be happy to do that on your behalf. I started watching the traffic. Tons of cars with no plates. Reported to Stavros Anthony's office as well. Do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I mean, it could be temporary plates, depending on what state. Not all states necessarily have the temporary plate that fits in the normal license plate section. So, the fact that a plate's not visible doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a legal vehicle. And again, those are kind of on a case-by-case basis. If an officer sees a car with no registration, of course, they're more than likely, if they've got time, they're going to be pulling that vehicle over and checking it out. So if it's a continual, if it's the same vehicle and you know where it is, or you see it at a particular time of day, that's something you might be able to report to the safety patrol officers that you have, and they can in turn report it to us if it is a suspicious vehicle. If it's a resident, then obviously there's only so much we can do. But again, if the car's in motion and an officer sees it, and if it's unregistered, they'll more than likely be pulling it over. Okay,
it's a question. Best personal protection example: taser, pepper spray, question mark.
Well,
Personal preference.
yeah, personal preference, and honestly, awareness, I think, would be even more of a tool, right? Knowing what's going on around you, so you're not putting yourself into a position to be a victim. There's a lot of different things on the market. It truly is personal preference, from a pepper spray to there's stun guns, there's tasers, and it's just about whatever you have, know how to use it, practice with it, because if something does happen, it's obviously going to be extremely stressful. And if you haven't practiced, it's not going to go the way you think or want it to go. But honestly, in my personal opinion, awareness, situational awareness, and not trying to keep yourself out of those positions where you might become a victim.
And just remember, any weapon you choose to carry with you or use, it can also be taken away from you and used against you.
Yep.
So be prepared to use it.
Especially firearms. It's, you wouldn't believe I fully support people's right to bear arms, but I would suggest that if you choose to carry a firearm, that you are proficient with it, you know how to use it. There's a lot of times that people, they'll buy it, they'll go qualify, they'll shoot it once, and that'll be it. And then 10 years later, it's sitting in the bottom of a purse or in a glove box or something, and they have no familiarity with it. You got to remember, if you're going to be the victim of a crime, when it happens, you're going to lose a lot of your fine motor skills, right? If you haven't trained or you're not proficient with whatever it is that you're using, even pepper spray, if you're trying to grab pepper spray, you could be fumbling around with it. So, and to Heidi's point, whatever you have is potentially a weapon that your assailant could acquire as well and use against you. So, just again, personal preference, whatever it is, make sure you train with it, you're proficient with it, you know how to use it, you know how to access it. It doesn't do you any good if it's, you know, if you buy a firearm for personal protection and you never carry it, it hasn't done you any good, correct? Or if you have pepper spray and you leave it in the glove box, but you're out for a jog somewhere else, it's not doing you any good while it's in the car. So I would just add on that. So.
Are you guys still doing first Tuesday
It's
in the
it's been
pandemic phase?
It's been virtual, so
Virtual?
if you follow us on follow the department LVMPD specifically, they'll have access to it. We stream it on Facebook and it ends up on our social media sites. Hopefully soon we'll get back to in-person first Tuesdays like we had, but sounds like we might be getting a little bit closer, you know, as the, you know, the vaccine and stuff rolls out and the economy and the society starts opening up a little bit more. But for now, we're still doing them virtual.
So virtual in the sense that they can participate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if anybody's not aware, the Northwest Command Center on Cheyenne has a first Tuesday event, the first Tuesday of every month. And you can get questions answered a lot quicker than coming here once a year. We just hold our little safety workshop once a year. So if you have something that comes up throughout the year, either contact Heidi or attend the first Tuesday event, and they can get access from your website.
Correct, and they can also reach out to our COP as well. So
Okay.
they can, you know, they can fill out a service request, or if they're close by and they want to stop into a station, they can come by in person during business hours and provide information or make a patrol or whatever. So,
Would you please explain COP?
So each area command has a community-oriented policing squad, and what our job is to reduce calls for service, which by whatever means that is, through intervention, through mediation, through maybe enforcement. So we'll try to reduce the calls for service so patrol can concentrate on doing patrol calls. We also do community engagement events where we, if you think about like trunk or treat, Easter celebrations, we partner with a lot of faith-based and do a lot of engagement events with them. It's really to show that we're one with the community, and we do other events that will have that lesser income area thrive and show appreciation for that too. So we do kind of like, I'm like the dump whatever, if we can solve it, it will go to COP and we'll try to resolve the issue so it's not a continual or a chronic problem.
Nice.
and they do a lot more than that. They work with city and county code enforcement, for example, if you're having you know, issues with graffiti, or if there's you know, chronic nuisance type stuff. They do the follow up. So if you might see them out the day after. If there's a crime that occurs in your neighborhood, they'll go back out and re-canvass and knock on doors and talk to people and kind of let them know, give them an update on, you know, what happened, and, you know, we're helping check and see if there's any additional surveillance video. A lot of people have home surveillance systems and stuff. So they do a lot of things. So jack of all trades kind of section. So,
You know, you bring up graffiti, and we're fortunate enough to have a maintenance crew, and so we get a little tag here or there. We're just out there taking care of it, getting rid of it. But it begs the question, how much of it needs to be reported, and or when we see it, when does it become an issue that Metro needs to get involved with?
I would say report it, report all of it, I would say. You know, that those are, we follow up on those at the area command level, but it's great that you stay on top of it. And probably the most important thing would be to get rid of it as soon as possible. It's a broken window theory, right? If you leave it, it's, you know, you're just inviting more people to come continue to tag it. So, you know, if it looks like gang graffiti or whatever, of course, we'd be interested in taking a look at it that way. You know, it helps us possibly even identify who's doing it. So, You know, I would just encourage anybody, if there is tagging or graffiti, make sure they report it, so we can get it taken care of.
Okay. And I've never been able to tell what's gang and what's not. I know early on, I to the gang division with Metro and show them pictures. And every time I would show them a picture, they say, no, that's not gang related. That's not gang related. And so it was like, is there something that sticks out that says this is gang related graffiti?
No, I mean, there's so many nuances to it. I mean, there's a lot of different gangs, a lot of different monikers, a lot of different styles. So it's really pretty in depth, but there are a lot of that. I would agree with you that a lot of people might look at something and think that it's gang related, and it's really you know, artists, if you will. And there's a lot of tagging crews that do it for the art aspect, but not necessarily gang members or whatever. So that's why we really just have to take a look at it and see. And if we can't figure it out, of course, we work with our gang detectives, and sometimes it's gang graffiti that we've never seen before, because it's gang that's new to Las Vegas. So so just because we don't know what it is doesn't necessarily mean that it's not something of value or interest.
Do you offer any lady beware classes for the public?
Yes. So I do teach a women's safety class. It is not hands-on, at least not yet. Maybe someday it will be, but right now it's basically a common sense awareness class, and I use a PowerPoint for it. So yes, we do offer that.
I had personal property stolen in August. I have video. I was not able to file a report at that time because I was traveling. Is there a statute of limitations on filing reports for personal property? Thank you.
No, you can, and actually you should be able to file that report online at LVMPD.com. So a lot of crimes can be, especially property related crimes, you can file those online, and it still goes to a detective. It still gets followed up on. So they can do that, or just walk into any substation or headquarters if they're in that area, and they can make that report, and it'll get routed to the appropriate detective.
So please report it. Please report it. I thank you for everyone for conducting this meeting. Another one, thank you, Metro, for supporting our community.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So I will let you, we don't have any other questions. Feel free to drop them in if you have any last minute. Otherwise, I will go around the table and let them give their final thoughts and comments, and we will call it a night. So we ended with you, so we're going to start with you. And
So,
we'll go counterclockwise.
Appreciate everybody joining in on this meeting, but please don't hesitate to reach out to myself, to our officers, to our COP team if you have a question, an issue. The women's safety class, we might be able to hold that here with Carrie's help. We'll limit it. I don't have a problem coming here teaching that class. That's not an issue at all. Home security, safety surveys, please, again, reach out to me. If you want to start a neighborhood watch or be a block captain, again, please contact me, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
I just want to close to say thank you also. You know, it truly is a team effort. It's not something that we can do on our own as the police department. We rely on the citizens, right? And it says it on our cars, partners with the community, and that truly shows the strengths of that and allows us to be successful. So I want to thank you for that part. I got to hit again about the guns, securing firearms. It's a tragedy when we get large numbers of firearms stolen, because it's not a person that's going out to just add guns to their collection. These guns are being used on the streets. They're being used for the commissions of crimes and things along those lines. And they shuttle all across the country. So please lock up your guns, practice with them. There's tons of CCW classes out there to become more proficient with firearms. And again, make it hard for criminals. They're lazy. They will do the easiest way possible. So if you make it harder, like the captain talked about those barriers, you will see a massive difference and change in the community and those levels of crime. So I want to thank you all very much again. I look forward to working with you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for inviting us here. And it was too bad we missed last year, but at least this year we were able to get together. And again, hopefully we can get back to our in-person meetings with our first Tuesdays here at some point this year. Like Chris said, the partnership with the community is really the key to our success. You are our force multiplier. You're the eyes and the ears, and you know what's going on in your neighborhood, and oftentimes a lot more than we do, because you're here every day. You see, what the problem house is, or what the issues are. Don't just take for, or assume that it's been reported. A lot of times we may not know about it, but there's some things that we can do to try to disrupt that and improve the quality of life. So, again, thank you. Please make sure you follow us on all of our social media sites. We push out a lot of stuff constantly, both crime prevention related stuff, and also we push out stuff to kind of keep you up to date on what's going on in the Northwest, some of the events we have, and some of them are open to the public. Sometimes it's just to let you know that we're out there and what we're doing and what we can do for you. So if you need anything, please feel free to reach out to Heidi or Sergeant Benjamin's, or you can come into the area command. And appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm just happy to be here.
Good answer. Good answer.
Thank you for having us.
It was wonderful. It was great. We had 30 participants this evening. At one point, we've lost a few since then, but we had 30 participants. We had 70 registered. So that is phenomenal. And we love hosting this. If you're new to the community, you may know that we do National Night Out the first Tuesday of August. And if everything goes well and things improve, we look forward to hosting National Night Out this year, and you can thank these wonderful people in person. So remember, that's on your calendar. And I know it's a Tuesday, so we try to bump it up early so that you can still make your first Tuesday event. So let's cross our fingers and hope that things continue to improve. And if you ever have any issues, please don't hesitate to contact our office. Our first question to you is, if you've been the victim of a crime, have you contacted Metro? That's going to be our very first question. So please report everything. I don't know that it was actually said, but if it's not reported, then we're not a hotspot, or we're not even a blip on Metro's radar. But if we get more and more actual reporting done, then the eyes will open a little bit.
We can send you the resources you need.
And we can get more resources. So number one, please report it. Final chat message. Nathalia enjoyed info. With that, I wish you all a wonderful evening, great rest of the week, and please be safe. Thank you for attending tonight. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.